Childhood. Charles Spencer Chaplin was born on the 16th of April 1889 to his mother Hannah Chaplin and his father Charles Chaplin Sr. Although there is no official record of his birth, Chaplin believed that he was born in Walworth, London. Chaplin's childhood was filled with poverty and many hardships. His early years were spent with his mother and his brother Sidney in the London district of Kennington. Hannah had no source of income, and Chaplin Sr. provided no financial support. In this documentary, we've prepared rare, never-before-seen footage of Charlie Chaplin's birth. For your eyes only. And thus, a beautiful baby Chaplin boy was born. Now, let's talk about Charlie's family. Hannah Chaplin was born August 6, 1865 in Walworth, London. She was the mother of Charlie Chaplin and his two half-brothers Sidney Chaplin and Wheeler Dryden. Starting her career at the young age of 16, she was an actress, singer, and dancer who performed in British music halls under the stage name of Lily Harley. However, her poor health forced her to stop her career early. She suffered from syphilis and psychosis and died in hospital on the 28th of August, 1928 at the age of 63. Here is Charlie's father, Charles Chaplin Sr. He was born on March 18, 1863 in Marylebone, London. He was the father of Charlie Chaplin and his stepson Sidney, though he barely knew his children. He gained considerable fame and success as a comedic singer. However, his job often involved encouraging customers to drink, and as a result, he became severely alcoholic as well. He suffered from cirrhosis of the liver caused by the heavy drinking and died in a hospital on the 9th of May, 1901 at the age of 38. And now for Sidney Chaplin. Sidney John Chaplin was born on March 16, 1885 in London, England, and was the oldest of the three brothers. He was originally known as Sidney John Hill and was the son of Hannah Hill. His actual father was supposedly a man by the name of Sidney Hawkes, but his identity was never verified. He began using the Chaplin surname after his mother's marriage to Charles Chaplin years later. He became an actor and married twice but had no children. He died on the 16th of April, 1965 in Nice, France, at the age of 80. Here is some heartwarming footage of baby Chaplin and his mother and father enjoying some quality family time. However, life at the Chaplin house wasn't always quite so nice. In this footage, we can see Charles Chaplin Sr. as the father he truly was. Quite the sad tale indeed. Life in the workhouse. As the Chaplin's financial situation deteriorated, Charlie was sent to Lambeth Workhouse when he was as young as 7 years old. He was housed at the Central London District School for Paupers, which Chaplin remembered as a forlorn existence. He was briefly reunited with his mother 18 months later, before Hannah was forced to readmit her family to the workhouse in July 1898. The boys were promptly sent to Norwood Schools, another institution for destitute children. In this documentary, we've prepared brutal footage of Charlie Chaplin being forcefully taken to the workhouse. Be careful, to some people, this footage might be disturbing. We apologize for any trauma these clips might have caused. Hannah's failing health. In September 1898, Hannah was admitted to Cane Hill Mental Asylum as she had developed a psychosis seemingly brought on by an infection of syphilis and malnutrition. For the 2 months she was there, Chaplin and her brother Sidney were sent to live with their father, who the young boys barely even knew. Charles Sr. was by then a severe alcoholic, and life there was bad enough to provoke a visit from the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. Once again, we have rare unreleased footage depicting Hannah in her unstable mental state. Once again, viewer discretion is advised. That video was shot just before Hannah was sent to the Cane Hill Mental Asylum. Sadly, Hannah was not able to survive her condition. She died in hospital on the 28th of August, 1928 at the age of 63. Despite all the hardships, however, Charlie's life quickly improved once he began to perform. At the age of 9, with his mother's encouragement and his parents' connections, Chaplin became a member of the 8 Lancashire Lads clog dancing troupe, which toured English music halls throughout 1899 and 1900. Charlie worked hard, and the act was popular with audiences, but he was not satisfied with dancing and wished to act. At age 14, Chaplin registered with a theatrical agency in London's West End. He was promptly given his first role as a newsboy in Harry Arthur St. Bury's Jim, a Romance of Cockney. The show was unsuccessful, but Chaplin's comic performance was singled out for praise. This is what led him to land a role as Billy the Page Boy in Charles Frohman's production of Sherlock Holmes. The show was so successful that it toured several times before ending in early 1906. Here, we present some newly unearthed footage for your viewing pleasure. It is of one of Charlie Chaplin's first ever public performances. The Beginning. In May 1906, Chaplin joined the juvenile act Casey's Circus, where he developed popular burlesque pieces and was soon the star of the show. By the time the act finished touring in July 1907, the 18-year-old had become an accomplished comedic performer. He joined the Fred Carnell pantomime troupe in 1908 and became one of its stars as the drunk in the comedic sketch A Night in an English Music Hall. In 1910, the troupe began a tour in the United States where Chaplin scored an immediate hit with American audiences, being described as one of the best pantomime artists ever seen there by reviewers. The tour lasted 21 months, and the troupe returned to England in June 1912 until the troupe traveled to the States once again only 4 months later. 6 months into the second American tour, Chaplin was invited to join the New York Motion Picture Company. He had caught the eye of film producer Max Sennett, who signed Chaplin to a contract for $150 a week, or about $3,635 in today's money. Career at Keystone. Chaplin arrived in Los Angeles, home of the Keystone Studio, in early December 1913. He was not used in a picture until late January, during which time Chaplin attempted to learn the processes of filmmaking. Making a Living was released in February 1914. Chaplin strongly disliked the film, but it meant his debut in the world of movies. To differentiate himself from the other actors in Sennett films, Chaplin decided to play a single identifiable character, and The Little Tramp was born, debuting in Kid Auto Races at Venice in 1914. Chaplin made his directorial debut in his 14th movie, Caught in the Rain. It was a huge success, and afterwards directed almost every short film in which he appeared for Keystone, at the rate of about 1 film per week. Over the year 1914, Chaplin appeared in 35 movies, most of which were only about 15 minutes long each. His first full-length comedy film was Tilly's Punctured Romance, which was about an hour and 15 minutes long. Career at S&A. The S&A Film Manufacturing Company of Chicago sent Chaplin an offer of $1,250 a week with a signing bonus of $10,000. He joined the studio in late December 1914. He soon recruited a leading lady by the name of Edna Purviance, whom Chaplin met in a cafe and hired her on account of her beauty. The pair formed a romantic relationship that lasted into 1917. He created 15 films at S&A, including A Night Out, The Champion, The Bank, which was one of the first of his films to include a sad ending, and The Tramp, which further developed his tramp character. Most of his films were created in 1915, and almost all of them were averaged around 30 minutes each, which was an upgrade from the previous studio. By 1915, Chaplin became a cultural phenomenon. Shops were filled with Chaplin merchandise, he was featured in cartoons and movie strips, and several songs were written about him. A journalist for Motion Picture magazine wrote that Chaplinitis had spread across America. As his fame grew worldwide, he became the film industry's first international star. Career at Mutual. When the S&A contract ended in December 1915, Chaplin requested a $150,000 signing bonus from his next studio. He received several offers including Universal, Fox, and Vitagraph, but the best of which came from the Mutual Film Corporation at $10,000 a week. A contract was negotiated with Mutual that amounted to $670,000 a year, which made Chaplin one of the highest paid people in the world. Chaplin created another 12 films, including The Floorwalker, 1 A.M., The Immigrant, and The Pawn Shop, in which Chaplin recruited the actor Henry Bergman, who would then continue to work alongside Chaplin for 30 years. Gaining independence. After the contract with Mutual ended, Chaplin's primary concern in finding a new distributor was independence. Sidney Chaplin, his then business manager, told the press, "Charlie must be allowed all the time he needs and all the money for producing films the way he wants. It is quality, not quantity we are after." In June 1917, Chaplin signed to complete 8 films for First National Exhibitors Circuit in return for $1 million. He chose to build his own studio, completing it in 1918. Chaplin was then given complete freedom over the making of his pictures. One notable film was The Kid, which was the first film that Chaplin created that used 6 reels or about 70 minutes of running time. Career with the United Artists. Chaplin joined forces with Douglas Fairbanks, Mary Pickford, and D.W. Griffith to create the United Artists in 1919, even before his contract with First National ended. The arrangement was revolutionary in the film industry as it enabled the four partners, all creative artists, to personally fund their pictures and have complete control. Chaplin was eager to start with the new company and offered to buy out his contract with First National. They declined this and insisted that he completed the films he owned them. Having fulfilled his First National contract, Chaplin was free to make his films as an independent producer. From here on, all of Chaplin's films were feature-length, being at least 70 minutes long or more. The films he created with the United Artists are considered some of his best, including The Gold Rush, The Circus, City Lights, Modern Times, and The Great Dictator, in which was Chaplin's first film with audible talking. Controversy. Despite being a worldwide shining star, Chaplin wasn't without controversy. One of his first bouts of controversy came along during the First World War. His loyalty to England, his home country, was questioned. Many British citizens called him a coward and a slacker for not joining the war. He defended himself, revealing that he would fight for Britain if called and had registered for the American draft, but he was not summoned by either country. Despite this criticism, Chaplin was a favorite with the troops and his popularity continued to grow worldwide. However, in the next World War, controversy rose again, when The Great Dictator was released in 1940, sparking suspicions that Chaplin was injecting communist propaganda into his films. The US government questioned his moral and political views, suspecting him of having communist ties. For this reason, a HUAC subpoenaed him in 1947. However, the HUAC finally decided that it was no longer necessary for him to appear for testimony. Then, when Chaplin and his family traveled to London for the premiere of Limelight, he was denied re-entry to the United States. In reality, the government had almost no evidence to prove that he was a threat to national security. He decided then to relocate to Switzerland, where he lived for the rest of his life. Chaplin's final years. In 1952, while traveling to England to attend the premiere of his film, Limelight, Chaplin learned that his American re-entry permit was revoked. As a result, his last two films were made in England. They included A King in New York in 1957, which was Chaplin's final starring role, and A Countess from Hong Kong, 10 years later in 1967, which was Chaplin's first and only film in color. However, Chaplin made one last trip to America when he was given an honorary Academy Award in 1972. In the early morning hours of December 25, 1977, Charlie Chaplin died from a stroke at home in Switzerland. His wife, Una, and 7 of his children were at his bedside at the time of his passing. And now, to thank you for watching this documentary, we present one of Charlie Chaplin's most famous scenes from The Gold Rush. Thank you for watching.